Hello everyone, I'm Randy. Welcome back to the Sillies channel on YouTube, where I cover silly topics that I'm personally interested in. Today we're going to be talking about a toaster, an extermination weapon, and my beautiful, beautiful wife. I really hope my parents never find this channel. Today we're covering Aigis from Persona 3. Personally one of my favorite characters, but if you don't like her, then you're just wrong. Yep, you have no rights anymore, actually. I take them from you. Anyways, before we get started, obviously major spoilers for Persona 3, manga, movie, and game. So if you haven't finished any of those, or at least one, first of all, what are you doing with your life? Go play Persona 3, watch Persona 3, or read Persona 3. And two, get out. You're not allowed here. To first understand Aigis, we have to understand what exactly she is. Aigis is a shadow extermination robot made by the Kirijo group in order to, exterminate shadows. Now, sadly, she's not the strongest at this, as the first night she was issued out, she lost to death, but I mean, everybody lost to death except Makoto Yuki, so no surprise there, honestly. Aigis' motivation can be very easily summed up into this clip from the Persona 3 Falling Down movie, which honestly is probably one of my favorite clips out of the entire series.
Makoto-san. アイギス、ラボに戻ったんじゃ。嫌な予感がしたから。どこへ行こうとしていたんですか、誠さん。どうでもいいだろう。私も一緒に行きます。一緒に行きます。アイギス。私の一番の大切はあなたのそばにいることです。でもいつか消えてくんだ。アイギスもきっと。私は消えません。あなたを一人にはしません。私の永遠はきっとそのためにあるから。
Got me tearing up, man. I'm a sucker for romance. What can I say? Anyways, as you can see, Aigis' motivation is directly linked to the main protagonist of Persona 3 being, to protect him and be by his side, which is honestly number one reason why she's perfect in every way. And this motivation is really her driving force throughout the entire game. I know it seems really two-dimensional at first, but as you develop through the story, it grows into a very interesting dynamic with the main protagonist, depending on what medium of the story you're watching it, whether it be the movie, the manga, or the game. Aigis' themes and character also fits really well into the theme of Persona 3 as a whole, being Memento Mori, which is a Latin phrase regarding to enjoy life while you can. Now, it fits into this theme really well because Aigis as a machine has eternal life. So it's kind of in stark contrast to the theme. This provides a really interesting dynamic with the main character, who is very, inept to death. Not inept, but, apathetic towards it. He doesn't necessarily care if anybody dies. But as they both grow together, they get more and more scared of the time that they have left. But eventually they come to accept that their time is in fact limited, and that they simply have to enjoy what they have. And sadly, as I said earlier, spoilers for P3, the main character does in fact die by the end of the game, leaving Aigis alone. Well, not necessarily alone, but essentially. And having his life fully realized. It's a really beautiful story. that I'm not explaining very well, but if you are enjoying what you're hearing so far, please go play Persona 3. It's my favorite game of all time, and that's saying something. I've played a lot of games, like a lot of games. So please go give Persona 3 a try. Anyways, the rest of this video will cover Aigis' development in the DLC of Persona 3 Reload and the second half of Persona 3 Fez. Everything up until now has been quote-unquote the journey, which is Persona 3 as seen through Makoto's eyes, the first 4 arcs. But from now on, this will be the answer, being the last arc through Aigis' eyes. Now, in the answer, which takes place exactly 26 days after the events of Persona 3, we get to see Aigis go through more and more painful scenarios, which isn't very fun to see. But it's essentially people going through their past only to be faced with the idea that they could potentially go back and change things. But by the end of the game, Aigis accepts. And keep in mind, Aigis is the most distraught by Makoto's death, as she was the closest. In my personal eyes, she is the canon romance because of the ending of P3. Which, I will fight anybody to the death who wants to argue that. I stand for Aigis. I will gladly fight for Aigis. She's literally the perfect character. Besides maybe Rei Ayanami. I'll get to her in a later video. Now, Aigis' story doesn't end at the answer, but that's all I'm going to cover because technically it goes on to Persona 4 Arena Ultimax, but I haven't played the Persona 4 Arena Ultimax story, so we're not covering that. Anyways, back to what I was saying. In the answer, they're faced with the idea that they could go back and change Makoto's fate. But Aigis is the one who eventually has to step in and tell everybody that they have to accept the fact that he's gone. Because he is gone. That's the sad thing. They have to accept the fact that the best outcome did in fact happen. And that essentially all they can do is let him go. And it's a sad truth, but it's also true in our world too. If somebody dies for us, we have to let them go. We can't let the weight of our grief hold us down forever. We have to release ourselves from the chains that bind us and just live. That's all there is to it. Death is an inevitable part of what we are as humans. It's a beautiful thing that a simple video game can express this so masterfully. Sorry, I haven't had water in a while. In conclusion, through Aigis, Persona 3 is able to display a story of realization of humanity, and then back away from it, and then acceptance of grief. She truly is one of the most well-written characters I've ever seen in fiction, and I feel like I could have gotten a lot more in depth. So if you liked this video, please stay tuned. I'd like to go and do a hopefully very, very long, in-depth video about Persona 3 as a whole. In fact, I might even do a playthrough of it. Or you could also go check out other videos on Aigis that I would recommend. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I know they're out there. Anyways, that's all for today, folks. Please like and subscribe, comment as well. Bye!